First Fans Podcast. I'm Victor, aka Buck. That's my asshole cousin Rhett. That's my brother from another mother, literally Marco. Say hi, guys.
What's up?
Oh, we're going there.
All right. Yeah, we were fooling around earlier on, so sorry for the weird introduction. So look, today we are gonna talk about the Hulk. We are gonna have basically a retrospective from the beginning, early ons of the show, 1970s show, all the way to She-Hulk, and talk about a little about She-Hulk, the first two episodes. So yeah, let's just get started with the original 1970s Incredible Hulk. With
First of
Bill-
all,
okay,
who in the
Okay.
room? Who in the room was actually born in the 1970s? Anyone?
me.
Oh, I thought that was
Yes.
the finger. I thought that's what I gave
There
you
was a
earlier.
little both,
All right.
Yeah, yes. I was born in 79, right towards the end of the 70s, and I did watch the show reruns with my grandmother and my dad, and I was a huge fan of the show. I mean, back then, before any CGI or anything like that, I mean, this was revolutionary. This is basically for me the first real superhero on TV that I
Yeah.
saw, and the way they displayed it, the way they did it, it as a kid, I mean, it blew my mind. And my dad used to watch with me, and tell me, "Oh, look, oh, David's gonna get angry. Oh, crap!" And it was
Yeah.
it was a cool thing. And then the whole thing, David Banner, that was his name, David Banner. It wasn't Bruce Banner. And apparently, I saw a Stan Lee documentary, and he said, well, the reason why they changed it to David was because they thought the name Bruce Banner sounded too gay. So they changed it to David. True
That's
story.
what they said. Stan
That's
Lee,
what they
huh?
said. Stanley said that.
Good old
Which I'm
Stan Lee.
okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, I mean, I look, I thought the show was amazing. For its time, it was great. Bill Bixby was great as David Banner. Luke Ferrigno as Hulk. I mean, you couldn't get
Yeah.
the way they basically got away with it and made it seem like, yeah, this is like a creature. Just, I mean, yes, he could tell he was human, but I don't know. I mean, it was kind of goofy now, but it looked great. It was convincing. It convinced me.
yeah, for the 70s?
So I mean, 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, Marco. I mean,
80s,
knowing that you were born in '96, I know you have great memories of this show. I mean, did you ever watch any reruns of it?
I
at all?
did. I mean, just for pure research purposes, like even when Marvel made the 2003 Hulk, not even Marvel, the first 2003 Hulk that I remember,
right?
The Hulk, and it was just called Hulk.
Hulk,
right? Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Even for that movie, I mean, I watched it and I liked it. I mean, I was a kid, so I couldn't really have much of an opinion. Now, when I watch it again, I'm like, this movie's okay. Not the best. But then watching 2008 Ed Norton's Hulk, I actually really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was entertaining. I love the throwbacks, and then they threw in Lou Ferrigno in there as a cameo, and yeah, he was like a security guard or something while Ed Norton was delivering pizza.
In the first Hulk, he was a cameo.
He was a cameo. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
remember
the
that
first
because I haven't seen.
I think in the second one he was too. I can't. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
2000.
you missed it right there. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So you did actually watch the old episodes?
Yes,
at
I
some
had to
point,
watch
you
the
did.
episodes to understand,
Right.
his importance as Hulk. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
for the time of the show, it's a good show. Like it's
So I mean,
it's a
you
good
would
movie.
say, even though you're born in '96 and you did see the old episodes, I mean,
yeah,
you could kind of you did appreciate for what it
yeah.
was.
I still have a certain
what they tried
appreciation
do,
to
and-
stuff made during
right.
its time. I mean, look at Star Wars '77. I mean, it's still a fantastic.
Same
movie.
year, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same around the same time. So I still have
Right.
a appreciation for things made in their time, and for
Right.
its time, I enjoyed Lou Ferrigno's.
You got to appreciate the practical nature of they had to literally
Sure.
find a guy, the biggest guy they could find to be Hulk. It's like, oh, how else are you gonna make Hulk? Back then, they did not think of having a fake, animation to be the Hulk, and it's
Yeah.
you go and hire somebody.
Right.
So
Right. I mean, the tearing of the clothes and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
the way they did it. I mean, it was back then. I was sold. I'm like, man, this is really cool.
it's so
So
big.
yeah. So Rhett, I mean, you are around my
Yeah.
age bracket, more or less.
Yep.
I mean, do you remember the first time you actually saw the show?
I can't remember the first
mean-
time, but it was. I remember it around. My dad, both my parents, they really liked it. They talked about it. In fact, my dad wasn't into comics and stuff. He probably didn't know it was a comic book. He just knew of the show because it was a popular show back then. It didn't matter if you like comics or anything. It was just,
Right.
oh, this is one of those shows that comes on. And it was, as I remember it, it was for my blood, I guess it was a little slow for being a kid. It was too much drama, not enough big green monster. So I didn't like it too much as a kid. Marco, I appreciate it. Um, I like again the practical nature of how they had to do everything, and I didn't even realize how big Lou Ferrigno really was until I think I saw Pumping Iron, and that's the documentary weightlifting competitions between him and
Right.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And when they talk about the measurements and the height, Lou is actually bigger than Arnold, like a decent, like he's taller,
He is.
so he
He
has
is.
more of a presence, an actual more of a beast presence, and I could see that's why they picked him. But
Right.
I actually met Lou Ferrigno, in 2012 at Dragon Con,
No
which
kidding. Cool.
yeah, shook his hand and said I told him, I was like, "Oh, love your stuff, Lou, appreciate you ever since I was a kid," and his Lou Ferrigno, "Appreciate it," like, that's how he
Yeah,
responded
for sure.
back, but, real just friendly, like, he did not mind shaking my hand and,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was cool, you know,
Yeah.
cool
Cool.
stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
It's
another thing that the show did, it actually spawned, I think it was in the early 80s or mid 80s, three TV movies from
oh,
the
really?
show, and it made into
Oh,
movies. Yeah.
Thor,
And
right?
in those movies, yes, there was one, I forgot what it was called. One introduced actually Thor. So we actually got to see a live action Thor for the first time, and it was in the Incredible Hulk series movie. And they also had Daredevil in on the trial of the Incredible Hulk. So I mean, it was kind of cool back then. It was I remember seeing the one with Daredevil specifically, and they show him, and he was very much like he was in the Daredevil show in Netflix. He was all in black first, and they show him fighting. And I remember seeing it with my dad, and I'm like, Dad, who is that? He's like, I don't know. And at one point, he leaves out the window, and someone in the room says, hey, who was that guy? And the guy's looking out the window, and he's like, Daredevil. And then my dad was like, Daredevil, cool. And I'm like, who's
He knew who he
Daredevil?
was,
He
yeah,
knew who he was from the comics. So
yeah.
that was cool. That was my first introduction to Daredevil. I never forgot that. And that was, within the Incredible Hulk. So it was cool,
I'll be damned.
yeah, yeah.
I think I remember those movies only because I think I saw them for sale, like, around the time Daredevil, the Ben Affleck movie
Right.
came out and stuff, they suddenly started releasing these things. You go to, like, I don't know, Best Buy, and it was like a DVD, of the Incredible Hulk movie with
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thor in it and stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's, like, my only experience of I think I saw I might have seen some YouTube videos, like, cheesy
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. But yeah, to wrap up the show, I mean, I also like what it did with this story itself because it really showed how tortured David was as a character. Because in every episode, you'd see him at the end of the episode, he would see him leave and basically start over a new life. Every episode, he had to go out of town because at the end of every episode, they found out who he was, and they were hunting down the Hulk, the government
Mhm.
or whoever was hunting him. And it was just sad because at the end they would play that sad piano music and they'd be walking down that road.
Ding,
It's
ding, ding,
famous. It's dum 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 dum. And
ding, ding,
it's so
ding,
depressing and so sad,
ding,
but
ding,
it was so great.
ding,
Because it's
ding,
like
ding, ding.
you relate to this guy. You felt bad for him. You really did. So I thought the show really did a good job introducing the Hulk character from comics to live action.
Yeah.
So I thought it really did.
It's
So
it's probably how we all knew about The Incredible. That's definitely how I knew he existed, was because of that
right,
show, not because I
yeah,
picked up a comic
the
when I was
comic,
5, It
yeah.
Yeah,
was
mine
yeah,
mine was 2003. I was when
makes sense,
Uh,
yeah.
well, that's funny you say that because that's we're moving on to Ang Lee's 2003 Hulk.
Oh, the Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
the
no, it's
Hulk.
just Hulk. And
Is it Hulk?
I think it's just Hulk.
I think it is Hulk. Yeah, it's just
Really?
Hulk.
Just Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah, you might
Hulk.
be right.
Hulk. All right. So, Rhett, do you remember seeing a trailer for this movie
Ooh,
and being
probably, but
excited for it?
I can't actually remember that experience of seeing the trailer, but I remember anticipating it, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a good summer. There was a lot of movies I was interested in that summer, whether they were good or not. It was like Terminator 3 and Jurassic Park 3 and The Hulk and maybe the Matrix sequels were around that same time.
2003.
Maybe Reloaded came out.
No, wait.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, 2003. I think Revolutions came out towards the end.
Reloaded. Well, I think they both came out the same year, right?
Did they? Did they? Yeah, maybe you're
It,
right.
it doesn't matter. It was a year of a
Yeah.
lot of suddenly, we're getting a lot of stuff. Probably X2. I think that was really good, or maybe it was a year or two before that.
No, you know what? No. I think it was 2002. Hulk came out. It was a
No,
year.
was it?
No. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. Yes, it was 2003. The reason I'm thinking that's because I saw the first trailer to Hulk on Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man,
um,
and that came out in 2002. So Hulk came out a year later. So it was 2003. You're right. You're
Interesting.
right. Yes.
Yeah, I can't say I remember the trailer, but I remember the movie and I remember the hype around it. And then when I was done with it, while I enjoyed parts, I had to sit there and think, I'm not sure if I really like this or not. There's moments about it I liked, and I couldn't wait to go back and see it again. And then in years, I think I found that, you know what? I think he experimented a little too hard with the editing. And that was what killed it for me, was that weird editing. The story was
Yeah, they had
slow.
like these comic book
Yeah,
blocks
like the
on
cells,
screen.
the
It was
comic
yeah,
cells. It
yeah,
just
comic
felt
cells.
like
Yeah.
a weird music video meets I don't know. It didn't work for me. The story it took so long to get going. Okay, like he has this genetic stuff. His dad experimented on him. His dad beat him, I think. And then he gets hit with the gamma blast. Like it took all these things, which is kind of neat. I like the fact that it's not like you could just get a little drop of blood in you and everything's okay. But and you're just gonna be a Hulk. But it took all these, step A, B, C, D. All these things had to come together for this perfect storm to make him the Hulk.
as most
And
superhero
Yes.
stories go, usually like
Yeah.
a perfect accident.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it. A lot of the early, if you go to the golden era comics, it's like you open Spider-Man. Oh, I got bit by a random spider. I got it.
Perfect accident. Anyone else would have gotten it, they would have died.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
Yeah.
So that movie, it meant a lot at the time. I thought I had some good visual effects for the time. Um, wasn't Bradley Cooper in it too? He's the villain.
No.
No,
Josh,
No. It was.
Josh, Josh,
Uh,
something.
yeah, I know what you're talking about because he does have that kind of Bradley
Ah,
Cooper kind of look.
Josh Lucas is his name.
Josh Lucas.
Yeah,
Yes. There you go.
similar. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a weird villain.
Mm-hmm.
Now I liked what's her girl, Jennifer Connelly. I always
Jennifer
liked her
Connelly
in
was good.
everything she's in. Yeah, Nick Nolte was a little
How
weird.
about Nick Nolte?
Didn't he become kind of a Hulk too?
He
And
became like a water monster Hulk.
oh yeah, that
He
was
like
weird.
bit into electricity. He's like, "Ah, sorry, and then he kept being like this water kind of graphic. Yeah. So
Very,
yeah,
very weird movie, but it was Ang Lee. He does strange things. Kind of a weird pick for that movie. So experimental, a little
yeah,
artsy. I
yeah,
don't think it was everyone's exact what we wanted for the Hulk. So,
yeah.
I mean, y'all could tell me your thoughts, and I think we get into one that you guys really like.
Well, okay. Well, I remember
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's hear you.
seeing the trailer for it on Spider-Man, and I was excited because we're going to Spider-Man. It's great, and then the next Marvel movie was gonna be Hulk, and this is before the MCU connected universe. So it's just, and I thought it looked great. I was really excited for this, really excited because I am a big Hulk fan. Um, man, I didn't like this movie. I didn't like this movie. And it wasn't one of those things where I walked out, like the movie finished and I was like, man, that was terrible. It was more of I sat back and I'm like, what the hell did I just see? I wasn't sure if I hated it or I just didn't understand it. So I saw it like two more times because I just love to torture myself. And yeah, the movie was just way too artsy and it really didn't need to be.
yeah,
And that's what it was. Looking back on it now, it wasn't that it was a horrible movie. It was a movie that was just, uh, I'm not gonna, should I say directed horribly? I don't know.
I
It
think it was
didn't,
directing. Yeah.
yeah, it was directing style. Now, people made fun of the way the Hulk looked visually. Now, this is back in 2003. I mean, look, it's a big green monster.
personally,
It didn't take much to convince me that this was Hulk.
yeah,
So the Hulk dogs bothered me. That was
yeah,
stupid.
that was dumb.
But yeah, that those are my thoughts on it. Marco, what do you? I know you liked it, right?
I
So
mean, well, again, as a kid,
yeah,
I was a kid, so it was an entertaining movie for me, just as Spider Man was entertaining for me. But Spider Man was much better. Obviously, I enjoyed Spider Man a lot more.
yeah,
But the Hulk movie I used to watch on VHS, just pop it on and just watch it for fun. I actually, believe it or not, I enjoy the look of this Hulk a little bit more than Mark Ruffalo, simply because yes, his coloration is weird. It's like a really bright green,
yeah,
purple pants, but that's what the Hulk looks like. He's not supposed to be like a natural green that they're making Mark Ruffalo's Hulk kind of look like, that green is like almost skin color. Like it's almost like it's natural green. Not like a radioactive green. You know what I mean? Not like a gamma radiation green. I feel like that Hulk, that
mhm,
bright green is what Hulk is supposed to look like. I feel like
Mhm.
I personally enjoy that look more because he actually looks like Hulk. He's not wearing normal clothes. He's not wearing like anything. He's wearing purple pants. That's what the Hulk wears in the comic
Yeah, they
books.
got it.
They got the look perfect. Now the rest of the movie was not good. That's the only thing I like about the movie.
you just like the way the Hulk looked.
I love the way
It
the
looked
Hulk
great to
looked.
you.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I love the way he looks. I don't have a problem with it. I like Ed Norton's
yeah,
too, but I just like this one as an over
yeah,
for its time and for when it was made and the resources they had to make the Hulk look. I think they did a really good job with it.
yeah.
Now the rest of the movie, it was shit. I'll just say it because it was directing was bad. Hulk's the father plot was weird. I was just
Yeah,
meh.
bad story, like
It's
weird
yeah,
choices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
yeah. It
not a lot to
was a
say.
little. It was awkward.
I remember everyone thought that too. You'd ask people about it, they're like, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I
Yeah,
liked it." Like everyone's kind of like, "Was I supposed to like that?" I feel like I was supposed to like that, but I don't think I did, you know?
yeah, yeah. The tone. Look, I thought Eric Bana actually did a pretty good job as Bruce Banner. I
Yeah.
didn't think he did a horrible
You know
job,
how
but it's just
confusing that was for me as a kid that the actor's name was Eric Bana and it was Bruce Banner. I didn't know what his actual name was. Because you
yeah,
guys used to say
yeah.
Eric Bana. I'm like, but I thought his name was Bruce.
And do you remember they changed his name again? Like David Banner's what they call him on the show. And
Yeah,
this for a minute they called him Bruce or not Bruce, Krinsler or Krinsler. Like they had some weird name, Dr. Krinsler.
really?
Like,
I don't know
yeah,
that.
I don't
yeah.
remember that either.
Yeah.
Stan Lee even says he's like, "Oh, good morning, Dr. Krinsler." Some Krins, whatever he said. And that was when Lou Ferrigno was walking next to Stan Lee as a
Oh yeah,
security
he
guard.
also plays security guard in this movie too.
Yeah, that's
Now
what
I
I
remember
thought.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's played security guard in both of them.
Yeah, he was more canon than the two.
Right.
Anyway, so that one we kind of sat on for a minute.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think that wraps up our thoughts on Ang Lee's Hulk. So
Yeah.
now we're gonna go to the first MCU Hulk. This came out right after Iron Man. Actually,
2008.
the same
2008.
summer.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this was the second MCU movie, and it was the Incredible Hulk. Um, this personally was my most favorite iteration of the Hulk. Um, I think it suffered from what happened with Ang Lee's Hulk, the disappointment of fans, and it was. I think people at that time didn't realize that if this was a sequel, a reboot, this thing was this the same? It was confusing, but this was a lot like the Hulk that I wanted to see. I think this look of the Hulk was the best look. I mean, was the most
He was a
ferocious.
beast.
Like he was a
He was
beast
a beast.
in this movie. The look of the Hulk was great. I thought Edward Norton was probably the perfect Bruce Banner. Perfect Bruce Banner. Liv Tyler was great as Betty Ross. William Hurt, great as Sergeant. What's the
General
father?
Ross.
Ross, General Ross. And I really thought it was great. I really did. Some people still were kind of in the fence, and I think it's still because they weren't sure what this movie, what place it took place in, whether it was connected to the old Ang Lee Hulk
Mm-hmm.
or it was at the time it was just very confusing. So
Right.
I thought it was great. I don't think it was the best movie ever, but I thought as a Hulk movie, this was definitely a step in the right direction. And oh, let's not forget Abomination.
Yeah, Tim Roth. He did a
Great
good.
villain. This
Yeah,
was
fantastic.
yeah. I wasn't crazy about Abomination's look, but I mean, it was a monster that Hulk was fighting,
They
so I
kind
thought
of
it was
made him
great.
look a little rock, more
Yeah,
steely. Like
it was like a pinkish. It was
it
weird.
was
It was a weird
weird. It
look.
was a
It
weird
was a weird
look.
look.
Kind of like it reminded me of
Yeah,
Doomsday a little bit. I don't know
a
why.
little bit, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So Rhett,
Yes.
did you see this in the theaters?
No.
You saw so you saw it probably went DVD and
Blu-ray. Yep. I bought
Blu-ray.
the
Okay,
Blu-ray, which happened to be a green
yeah,
plastic Blu-ray, not the
right,
actual
right.
old school blue one.
Right. So, I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't think you were crazy about this version of the Hulk, right? It didn't really
Right.
do anything for you.
It just didn't do anything for me. It's not that there's nothing about it I disliked. If anything I dislike is that they had to continuously recast Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And looking back, I may have wanted to see this one the most.
Yeah.
Because Edward Norton, I always like the idea of like a tiny, thin, frail man
Bruce
Right.
Banner. Yeah.
that grows huge. And
Right.
even
Exactly.
even as
Yeah.
a kid, I figured like the David Banner from the show was like he's like a normal looking size guy.
Right.
And I guess I got that from like the Hulk roller coaster. I don't even think it exists anymore. Universal Studios.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Still
Yeah.
there? I
Oh
haven't been
yeah.
in forever.
That's
I
true.
remember when that came out, and it was so awesome. They had like in the line, like the cartoon, or like a
Mhm.
really quick little. Maybe they made it just for that. And they showed this like perfect animated or design, thin framed, frail Bruce Banner, and I think Edward Norton reminded me the most of that. And it just
Yeah.
looked really good to me. So I was excited when I heard he had it. It's good. I thought everyone acted that role fine.
Right.
Um, I'm not getting any feedback, am I? I kind of hear myself.
No.
No? Okay, good.
I heard you.
Sorry. Um, it just like you said, I was a little confused. Does this follow the Hulk? And I thought at the time that's what they were trying to do because they didn't give you an origin, which was very common back then. That you had an origin with a new
Well,
movie.
they kind of did. It was just in the beginning, in the credits. It was very quick.
Yeah, snip snap.
So,
Yeah, he's often hiding and stuff, right?
right.
So, it it sucked because we just got Iron Man and it was great, and then this is okay. So this is the next one, and it ties in. I kept hearing it ties in,
Yeah.
and it
Right in the
just didn't
beginning.
feel
Ties
like
in.
it. Almost,
Well,
yeah.
towards the end it ties in
No,
also
right in
because
the
it has
beginning
and
too. In the
Well,
intro when they're showing the credits and you see like missiles, you can see Stark Industry right on one.
oh yeah, yeah, yes, yes,
okay.
yes. You're right. You're
Samuel L. Jackson, though, right? We get Sam
No,
James
Towards the no,
at
no, no.
On
Well,
Hulk, no.
on
it's
the
Robert Downey
Incredible Hulk.
Jr.
No,
No,
it
you got Iron
was
Man.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I
At
remember
the
that,
end.
but didn't he come? Didn't he show up again in the Incredible Hulk? No.
He did.
Samuel
No, no,
Jackson.
no,
Yeah, Robert
not
Downey
Samuel
Jr.
Jackson.
is
You keep saying
in
Robert
the
Downey.
Hulk.
My bad.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
you're right. So then it was like, okay, we're really crossing the streams here. It's just I think they were still figuring it out, so I can't really blame them for
Right.
that. It still to me feels like the least connected of all the MCU movies.
Well, I mean, a big part of it is because they did recast Edward Norton,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
know.
why it feels like it's so disconnected.
Yeah,
But
it took a long time for them to connect anything that happened in this.
well,
Long time.
very recently they kind of. But anyway, but Marco, what did you think of the Incredible Hulk?
I mean, again, I was like in high school, not even in high school. Like
2008.
I graduated in 15, so like I was like 11 or
Yeah.
12. I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I remember watching this in theaters, and I mean, the visual effects are nice. The story was a little everywhere, just a little bit. Even myself walking into the movie, I'm like, is this a sequel to the old one? No,
Yeah,
it
and
can't be, right?
that's
Like
everyone.
in my mind,
Yeah,
like, no, this isn't a sequel. It's not the same guy.
right.
But yeah, I mean, it was whatever. I actually really like Abomination in this movie. Again, I'm not a big fan of the look, but I like the villain. I love the
Yeah.
way Tim Roth portrayed him, and he did a really good job. Even now, I kind of still like.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I love Liv Tyler too.
Yeah, I thought she did a real good job. I thought
and
the chemistry between Edward Norton
yeah,
and Liv
and
Tyler was actually really good.
I have to agree with you in the sense that this Hulk is probably my favorite version of Hulk itself because he's a beast.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
a beast. His fight with Abomination is just crazy.
Yeah.
Really blows my mind. That version of Hulk is technically still the one in the MCU. None in the same.
Yeah.
They're not in the same.
Yeah, it's hard to believe because you're right, they feel so different.
Very different.
Yeah, so yeah.
This was around the time I was reading comics again because I have very spots when I was a kid. I think Batman was the first ones I read because of you, Buck. We, got
Hmm.
into that.
Yeah.
Um, but then I kind of had a pause, and then when the X Men cartoon came out in the early '90s, I started buying Marvel comics, and at some point around that time, I bought a trade paperback that had it was called Fantastic First, and it was the origin, like story arc of all the big ones: Fantastic Four, X Men, the Hulk, Thor, Doctor Strange, even. Anyway, I got back I kinda dropped it off again, and then my 3rd was when all the movies started coming back. The X-Men movies started happening, Spider-Man, the Hulk, and I was buying comics at that time. That was probably my most you know, you and I would actually every time I'd go visit you in Miami or you'd come to New Orleans area, we
Yeah.
would go show each other, "Here's my comic book stores," and we'd go around this town and just buy up comics and
Hmm.
enjoy them. 'Em. We'd lay them all out, and it was great, and I
Yeah.
read at the
Yeah.
time, like, I was reading new Hulk comics,
Yeah. Me
and
too.
yeah,
Hmm.
it was great. It was a good time.
It
But,
was.
Abomination was one of his I happened to catch the story arc. So actually, it's rare I know who the comic book villains are, especially these days. Back then, I was like, "Oh, I know who Abomination is." I just didn't remember much about him, but I knew he put on a tough fight for Hulk. Like, it
He
was
was, yeah, he was a very, he was, I'm not going to say in the same rivalry as like Batman and Joker, but he was a very big villain for Hulk. He was, yeah.
Yeah, and it
So,
was cool to see him have a villain because
right,
it's similar to Superman. Like the first movie is kind of you learn about him, and almost with the Hulk, it's like his battles against himself. It's not he doesn't have a
right,
real villain.
right,
It's like the show. It's the government. It's everyone's not
yeah,
understanding who he is. And this time he actually had a villain to duke it out with. So that was
right,
exciting. It's like this is gonna be cool. It was
exactly.
fine. I just to be honest, I've seen it twice. I saw it once back in the day, and then I actually only saw it recently, about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I decided to go through
Mhm.
Square A
Right,
to Z, whatever. And yeah, I mean, we have a legacy now. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it's funny how pieces of that movie are continuing on now.
yeah.
Whereas we lost Edward Norton, we lost Liv Tyler, we lost in real life, we lost
Real life, General
General
Ross.
Ross, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So we lost Stan Lee. He was in there too. He died from the
yeah.
soda, if
He
I
did.
recall.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it was contaminated with his
Gamma.
blood. Yeah.
It's just totally killing people. You drink a drop of blood and you don't have the right DNA, you fall over dead.
Well,
You have the right
apparently,
blood. If
yeah,
you're
right blood.
genetically, hey, you beautiful.
Let's not go too
Let's not
forward
get
here
ahead of
because
ourselves.
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Let's not
Okay.
get ahead of ourselves.
Oh, everyone
So
watching at
so
this point already knows where we're leading. Like they
Yeah.
they already know
right,
what we
right.
think.
All
Sure.
right. I'm
All
I'm
right.
probably the one that doesn't think that way, but go ahead.
Exactly.
Avengers.
Um Now let's go to Avengers. Now I mean, come on, Avengers was the most exciting movie.
That was such a
I
hyped
mean,
up movie.
They
Everyone was
killed it.
so
right,
excited.
right. And but my disappointment when they announced Mark Ruffalo was going to be, who's recasting
Ed
Edward
Norton.
Norton. I was upset because look, man, look, Edward Norton was so great as Bruce
Yeah.
Banner, and but I can understand though because I know that Edward Norton is a very difficult actor. It's been known that
See,
he does not work well with directors, and a lot of people don't like to work with him because he just likes to take over. And apparently, there was like a 3 hour version of the Incredible Hulk actually that was edited and everything because Edward is just a very he's a complex actor. So they
that
recast
could happen.
him. Yeah, they recast him, Mark Ruffalo. And look, I have to say, I thought Mark Ruffalo in the first Avengers, I thought was great.
I
I
agree.
thought he was great. He had a real coolness to Bruce Banner that I had never seen before. I mean, do you remember that scene when he first was with Natasha and Natasha's trying to reel him in, and he scared her for a second. He goes, "Why not?" And he's like, "Okay." Like I was just
Oh yeah,
kidding.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that was cool. I was like, "Hey, this guy has personality. I like it. All right, cool." Now his Hulk look, I didn't mind it. It was fine. It looked the most realistic, and that was the first time they actually got the CGI done right as far as the skin texture. It looked
Reflection and yeah.
very convincing. Now the face, though, for some reason, he just looks the most dopey kind of Hulk. I don't know, something about his face expressions that
Yeah, he's the Hulk that looks the most like the human form of.
yes,
He's the Hulk
like
that matched Bruce Banner's face the most.
yes, yes, and he could look cool at the same time. There's times where he looks like Shrek. It's kind of like okay, but I'm cool with it. And
Yeah,
the way he was portrayed in Avengers, I thought it was great. I
I
had a really
agree.
good time with Hulk in the Avengers. I thought Mark Ruffalo was great as Bruce Banner, so I had no problem with
Yeah.
Hulk. in the Avengers.
Yeah, probably one of
Yeah.
the most badass
ahead.
scenes in all Avengers is when he's coming in on a moped from God
Yes,
knows where,
yes,
and he
yes.
tells his secret that I'm always angry,
That's
and
my secret. I'm always angry.
he's an immovable force. He doesn't move an inch
Yeah,
from a
yeah,
gigantic Shatari
yeah.
like
Right.
giant worm thing. He doesn't move an inch.
Yeah,
I mean, later on
yeah,
we see that he can move a lot easier now, but
yeah.
that's a different story.
A car could run him over, but yeah, it's fine.
So
Whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and it really. So I forgot when we were reading comics back then. The Ultimates was my favorite
Oh
new
yeah,
comic series, and if you don't know
I
out there,
remember
the
that one.
Ultimates was just they renamed the Avengers and had a series. Probably went everything was Ultimate. It was Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men,
Yeah.
and
That's
the
right. Yeah,
Ultimates
they're the
was the
Ultimates.
Avengers. Yeah, and it was great artwork. Like it was one of those like amazing. It cursed. It had Nick Fury looked like Samuel L. Jackson long before they cast him. It
Long
was like
before they cast him. Yep.
yeah, it was incredible. Like it was, it was a good story, and the Hulk in that story was so savage that
Yeah.
it was like, man, this is a neat version of Hulk. And I remember going, how come we've always gotten these, I was thinking about the 70s shows, whatever. And then the Ang Lee one, I'm like, man, I want to see something good. So I'm a little, we had the Incredible Hulk since then, but they even had a point where the Hulk he turned into a Hulk, and I can't remember which of the Avengers felt terrible for making him become the Hulk because they said he ate people in New York City. When he rampaged,
Yes.
he
When
was
he first
eating
came out,
people and
he was
killed
eating
them.
people. Yeah.
Like he
Yeah. They couldn't
killed
control him.
innocent
Yeah.
people. And it was like, damn. And so in Avengers, when we first see Hulk, because they're on the air carrier,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
helicarrier, whatever they call it, I was like, I think we're gonna get this Savage Hulk because that's the whole like now we know this was Loki's plan is to free the Hulks to just destroy it.
Destroy it.
And he's
Yeah.
chasing Black Widow freaking through the thing. You're like, he's wanting to kill her. Like this what I was kind of confused. Why does he want to kill her? It's because he's Psycho Hulk. He has no control right now. And I was
Yep.
like, that's an interesting take on Hulk. And even in that own movie, that movie, they managed to somehow soften him down a lot by that fight at the end, the big battle in New York. I
Yeah.
don't know how. I mean, I'm not saying it was a bad thing. It's like, oh look, at least they got control of him a little. He's got a little control. But that I always thought that was amazing that they took it and they gave us real Savage Hulk for that.
Yeah.
Now I don't know why. Is there an explanation as to why he kind of lightened up a little by the second half of that movie?
I think it was more of like him opening up, like him and the second personality thing that they had going on, kind of
Yeah.
agreeing to help New York instead of kill people randomly. Because the first time that he was awoken, it was by force. It wasn't like an agreement. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, surprise, you're gonna go crazy right now. The second time he
Yeah.
woke up, Bruce Banner said, "All right, let's do this together." So it's kind of like a teamwork thing. So that's
Okay,
why
I can remember. Yeah.
that's why kind of like
Right.
Captain America's like Hulk smash. And
Plus, he
do
was
it.
like in the ship, closed indoors. He was probably claustrophobic, and he just wanted, like, to break out. He
Mhm.
was in a city in the third part of the movie, and
Mhm.
maybe he could go around and do what he wants. I don't know, but
Okay. Okay. All
yeah.
right. Anything else to say on that?
No, as far as the second Avengers, she was in there, but more or less, it was pretty much more or less the same Hulk we got from the first
Well,
Avengers. I know,
in Ultron, they had
Ultron, yeah, I know he went kind of bad and for a second because of Scarlet Witch, but he was pretty much the same version in the Avengers as he was
but
in the
right.
second
but
Avengers.
Scarlet.
this one had a little more, like, I don't know if it was depression or
It was
excludedness or whatever. It
definitely,
was
yeah,
something different
yeah.
because then he decided to leave.
Yes, he did leave. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry.
Because
Yes, let's
he hurt everybody. Yeah, because he felt terrible about
Mm-hmm.
what he did, and I don't remember
right,
what city he was in Europe, but yeah, Scarlet Witch did her little trick on him, and
right
he
on
got
everybody.
real red bags around his eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why the Hulk
Went
Smasher
crazy.
or Hulk Stopper. What was Iron Man's suit called? Hulkbuster.
Hulkbuster.
Buster, I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But no, yeah. Also, I almost forgot that in Age of Ultron, the romance between Banner and
Mhm.
Natasha was introduced, which
So weird.
I didn't know how to feel about that
Mhm.
because
So
this is where I first saw Bruce Banner kind of go to the nerdy side. Like he started acting like he didn't know how to talk to women. He
women.
didn't know how to talk. It was weird. Like I'm like, well, wait a minute. He wasn't like that in the first Avengers. He wasn't so. I don't know. It just maybe I was just reading too much into it, but I started seeing a
He had an
difference,
awkwardness to him.
awkwardness to him that I didn't see in the first Avengers. Uh, you could probably put it up to, okay, well maybe he's never been in love, but he was
He
because he had
was.
Betty.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't
and we
know.
never knew what happened to Betty. She
You
just
never know what happened to
gone.
Betty. Yeah. So
She
they introduced like this love interest, right? And well, let's okay. They introduced his love interest, and let's see what there. He goes away in the end of the movie,
Off, yeah.
and we see him in Ragnarok.
If I recall, Thor took off too in that movie, didn't he? After a minute, he was like, "I'm gone, y'all. I'm gonna go
Oh,
take care of a
he went
tree."
back to
No,
Yeah,
In Thor 2, he was trying to discover the purpose of the Infinity Stones. He
yeah,
kind of went on this like
he had. Well,
little
he didn't he have
journey.
his first dream of the Infinity Stones
Yeah.
in
yeah,
Mhm.
Avengers 2
Mhm.
and Age of Ultron? Yeah.
Yeah, and
right,
then he came back and he's like, "I have so much to tell you." And then they fight Ultron.
right. So yeah, so Hulk we see now in Ragnarok in Thor Ragnarok.
Mhm.
Um, Seeing the
Yeah.
trailers for Ragnarok, I was really excited because it looked like
Mhm.
we are getting World War Hulk. He was in gladiator, costume. I was like, holy crap, this is gonna be amazing.
See, I never knew
Uh,
what World War Hulk was at the time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I did. Because there was actually an animated movie
Oh, okay.
that came out before then, and so you know what, Rhett? What did you think of Hulk the Ragnarok? What were your thoughts before?
It was obvious that they changed a lot about him, made him silly, made him baby-like. But that movie to me was so damn good. I rolled along for the ride. It didn't bother me a single bit. I took the humor in and I was like, okay, this is what Hulk is now. So I took it differently. I know you were very, very different on that one, but because I don't think I had the legacy of Hulk love you did, it was okay for me to sort of change with what they're doing with him. You know, you saw him start. You try to imagine him acting like a baby in your old David Banner show. You'd have been like, "What? That's not what he's about." You know? Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Mark, what did you think of Hulk in Thor Ragnarok?
Listen, I love Thor Ragnarok. It's I love this movie for its own reasons, right? Most of them are because of Thor, not necessarily because of Hulk. Um, at first, watching Hulk and his like that badass fight he had between Thor, it was a good fight until Grandmaster interrupted. Um,
Mm,
but then
Hmm.
after that, he kind of just got goofy a little bit. I mean, I understand
yes.
why people can say that he's goofy because he's immature, but like at the same time, he had like a spoiled bratness to him because he's been
Right. Yeah.
praised for so long in Sakaar. So I feel
Right.
like he got pampered, and that's why the Hulk changed. That's when the Hulk changed
Yeah,
because we see
Yeah.
Age of Ultron Hulk, going beast mode, and then he leaves 2 years. They find him, and it's a totally different
and he's been in Hulk form the entire time. Like his brain has not gone to regular
to regular
intellect. It's
Banner
been
forever.
on dumbed down, silly, and I can kind of
I
see how that could have happened.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't
No. I understand the logic
know.
as to how it happened. It makes sense, but the
Fact,
problem is
the fact they did it.
you're killing the spirit of what Hulk is because Hulk always represented this Jekyll and Hyde kind of personnel. When you see the Hulk come to life, it's supposed to kind of give you like this fear of like you don't know what he's gonna do because he's this you know green monster that could sometimes be good, sometimes be bad. You just don't know. And in Thor Ragnarok, it kind of just it killed that, and it turned him into a spoiled kind of baby who it was just not appealing. It really wasn't, and believe it or not, that's the main reason why
I don't like
I
Thor.
really didn't like Ragnarok. It wasn't so much
Thor.
but the
Yeah.
humor. I mean, yes, the humor had something to do with it, sure, and Thor, but it was more. I think what they did to Hulk was a big reason why I was so disappointed in Ragnarok because they just his portrayal was not good.
Yeah.
I didn't like what they did with
I,
this
I didn't
version.
I didn't like him in Sakaar. When he came to when he came back to Asgard with Thor,
Mhm.
and then he starts fighting Fenrir, the giant wolf, and that was a cool fight that I thought they had between those two.
It was, but here's my thing, right? Hulk is supposed to be immensely strong. I mean, we're talking in the same strength wise level as probably Superman. That's the level of strength and muscle. I mean, he was basically fighting a giant dog. I don't know if I feel like they kind of pulled back his powers in this one too. You know, it wasn't. I
Well,
don't know.
remember, it's been a long time since Hulk had a real fight, since he had a real
No, but
challenge.
wait. He was a gladiator for 2 years. I mean, fighting a bunch
Yeah,
of
but
people,
he
right?
all the fights were rigged. The-
Oh, he probably never had a good opponent either. Like
you know what
Thor
I'm
was
Yeah.
saying?
probably the
Like,
first real
he
one.
probably
Yeah.
never had a good fight because if
I
the second that he probably got close to
I mean,
losing, Grandmaster stepped in.
sure
Well,
it was a big dog, but it was like an undead special dog. Like
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
Fenrir.
really know the strength of that
It's a
dog. Yeah, of
Norse
that wolf.
mythology. It's Fenrir's like in Norse mythology. Fenrir's like Loki's son.
right.
He's like a very strong
Well,
mythological creature.
I want to keep with that theme of him losing because that goes right next to our next movie, Avengers Infinity War, which he
Yes,
got his ass kicked
Right away.
right away.
right away.
But I liked it because it showed how powerful Thanos was. I mean, they showed Hulk as an example because if this guy could like
Just take down
basically
the Hulk.
take down Hulk the way he did, this guy is gonna this villain is gonna be something. I mean, so I like that, and I didn't have a problem with it, and the fact that Banner had a problem throughout the whole movie changing into Hulk because Hulk was kind of
Scared of
shooken.
Scared.
He
Thanos. Yeah,
scared. He didn't want to come out. So I like that because I'm like, you know what? It's fine. They're not going to show him this movie because they were going. They're set. It looks like they're setting him up
to be
for
a beast in
something
the next movie.
huge in Endgame. They're gonna have him, beast out and kind of have his moment with Thanos, get his rematch, and
Mm-mm.
let's just go to Endgame, right? Because that was pretty much all of Hulk in Infinity War. Then we go to Endgame. I'm like, oh man, what's Hulk gonna do in Endgame?
What's he gonna do in Endgame? Oh,
This is what we got.
he looks just like him.
This is what we got.
That's you. It's him. I'm looking at
Well,
Professor Hulk.
yeah. He's smart Hulk.
That movie
Now, look here,
ruined the Hulk. It ruined it.
here's the thing.
What?
Here's the
It
thing.
ruined
All
it.
right.
Yes, Professor Hulk, which they don't call him that. They call him Smart Hulk.
Smart Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Which okay, whatever. But he's in the comics. I get that. I get that.
I didn't know
Yes.
But
that either. Like I didn't know
I
comics anymore. Yeah.
right. I knew at some point he does become like this Professor Hulk, kind of like Beast in X Men.
Yeah, that's
That
a good
same
one.
kind of that's the same. They're basically the same kind of character.
Without poetry
But
and
but they didn't show because it was such a 5 year gap. They just skipped to it, and he became Smart Hulk. He explained how he did it, but we didn't really like what. Okay, so now he is
no.
Smart Hulk.
This is how they explain it. I took the brains and the brawn and
Yeah,
I put them together. I can't remember how he says it,
yeah,
but it's about like that.
yeah.
And I put them together.
So basically, what we got is just a steroid injected Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
That's what we got, and he basically that was his character throughout the whole movie, and
Facts.
he never got a rematch with Thanos. I don't think he even saw him at all. Towards the end, he was in a fight, but we didn't even see him fight. I don't remember seeing him fight at
He
all.
couldn't. His arm was messed up.
His arm was messed up. That's what they used him for.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that
okay,
I thought that was a good sacrifice. Hey, you're the only one with the arm
but
that can take it.
but it's Hulk.
It's
They have basically, if not the most powerful like team
Mhm.
member. I
Yeah.
mean, there. I mean, that's
I mean,
I
they were
don't know.
trying to not kill somebody. I mean, what else is he gonna just smash a bunch of
Oh,
minions
see, here's the
until?
thing. Yeah, so the directors did admit that the reason they wrote the Hulk in like that is because they didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah,
They figured his character was so powerful
really.
that they had to dumb him down.
But then
And
they disarmed him too, because if they say that, if that's really their argument, then what was their excuse in Infinity War? Because he was not too powerful as he got his ass whooped by Thanos,
well, I mean,
Yeah.
without
yeah,
even using an Infinity Stone. He just said, "This is what I got. Hold my gauntlet. I'm gonna take you down like this." Like he
yeah,
didn't even use
yeah,
the Power Stone. You know?
yeah. You're right, but that's to me that was the reason why they were setting. I thought they were setting his character up for something huge. I thought he was going to have
Uh,
either a huge transformation where he was even stronger, and it wasn't. It was okay. We got Smart Hulk. So basically, we're in territory now where they have basically slowly but surely have nerfed the Hulk down, and as the movies went on, they just within the MCU they just didn't know what to do with him, and they basically took his character and made it kind of like a side note joke. They did, and it sucks for me personally, who loves this character.
I can't blame you.
It's not fun to watch, man. It's not. I'm not saying it's terrible writing, but and a lot of it has to do with the fact that yes, Disney does not have the rights fully to Hulk, and I don't think they ever will. They own part
That's
of
a
him,
shame. Yeah.
and I think that's another reason why they can't do exactly what they want to do. Possibly, I don't know, but yeah, as far as the state of Hulk now, how he ended in Endgame, and I guess now we can go to She-Hulk, right? How now he's in She-Hulk,
Is that really
and
what it went to? Endgame all the way to She-Hulk? There's nothing in
well,
between.
his character, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
What
I'm,
if? He
I'm
was
just saying.
he was in What If, right?
uh, what?
It's like an episode of What
Yeah,
If or something.
but was he in the same like universe or
No, no, no.
no? He wasn't. Right, right. So let's
But
just talk. Yeah.
Liv Tyler's character's in What If, though, isn't
Yes, she is. But
Oh
again,
yeah.
it? Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same universe or
No, that's not
yeah.
the
I
same.
don't know.
Anyway, yeah, we can go She-Hulk.
All right, so She-Hulk premiered last week. We saw the first episode and the second episode. I saw it this morning. So we're gonna basically review the first
First
two
two episodes.
episodes, and Hulk is in it. Mark Ruffalo is in the show. Um, Marco, what did you think of what you've seen so far of She-Hulk?
Personally, I like the show. It's
Mhm.
funny. I like the interpretation of Hulk and She-Hulk specifically because in the comics she breaks her fourth wall. She's doing it here too. Um, so far the setting of the show I enjoyed. I feel like the origin story was a little quick, was a little rushed.
Yeah.
And again, everyone has problems with her. Like everyone's saying that she got over the consequences of her powers too quickly. Like she learned how to use her powers too quickly. Um, I agreed at first, and then you really got to compare. Bruce Banner has a enormous amount of gamma radiation inside him, a huge, like a full blown amount of radiation. She only got a few drops. So that's the reason why she didn't get a double, like a different personality, and it's the reason why she didn't have to fight someone for 20 years in her body. Like she couldn't. That's why she was able to control it as easy. But clearly, she's not as powerful when it comes to strength. You know what I mean? Because we see feats of strength in both of them, but we also see Hulk throw a boulder to space. So I don't think she's gonna have that capability just because she doesn't have it. Is she more agile? Probably, because it's a different body type. That's just when you compare men and women when it comes to women being more flexible, gymnastic, agile. That's the form of She-Hulk. She's just that's what's gonna happen. Hulk is a brute. Gonna be a brute. It's not as majestic.
He was a brute. I don't know about now, but yeah.
Now he's not, obviously, but now
Size wise, he is. If
yes,
you're talking about flexibility and just movement, she's
Yeah.
slender still. Yeah.
she's got the upper hand. Okay.
Slender.
Yes. Um. Also, Hulk is a weaker Hulk. He is. He's not gonna be the brute we saw at Ed Norton or Avengers.
We think he is, right? Like I'm with you, but it's like they haven't really proven that.
They haven't really like explained it.
They
He
never
is
explain
weaker,
it. We see him
but
throw a meteor, so he must have the same strength, right? But I don't think he has the willpower to be a Hulk anymore. I just think he's done with it. He's over it. He just wanted to combine the two halves, use the best of both to what he's got left. I think he's just done with it. I feel like he's just kind of given up on it. He's spent the majority of his life trying to control it. It's been over 20 years as him as Hulk.
I get the struggle.
I
get it.
It must be exhausting.
Yeah,
It must be.
it is.
So
Yeah.
I kind of understand where Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is coming from in the sense that like he's not putting forth the effort of being a Hulk anymore. I don't like the fact that she ran over him with a car and he moved so easily as compared to Avengers where nothing was able to move him. But again, I have my problems with this Hulk. They brought Professor Hulk in too quickly. I said that ever since Endgame. We should have seen more Beast Hulk. We should have
Yeah.
seen a lot more of it because, and really, he was only in 2 movies of it. That's it. 3 if you count
Yeah.
Ragnarok and Infinity War.
Yeah.
But
He became a sidekick in the middle
exactly,
of the.
they really did not do him justice at all.
Yeah, and he
I've,
still is. So you like it though? I mean, wasn't that
the
the question?
show's good. The show's good. I don't have a
Mhm.
problem with her character, like a lot of people do. I just have a problem with his, and it's
Mm.
just that version of Hulk. It's all it is, and he's not going to be in the show for long. I guess like not
You
that
much
much.
the second
We
I
saw,
episode,
saw the
we
right?
saw
second
two
episode.
episodes.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. So I'm sure he's not in the show anymore much.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I like it
All
too.
right.
I'm not gonna lie. I like it, and a lot of my concern wasn't I don't have the same Hulk concerns you guys have because I was fine with it. So to me, it's like it's the evolution that they gave him, and so I'm okay with it. Her origin was very even. It just could have been better. It's like I wanted to compare some things to Obi-Wan series at that moment because it's like it just. Yeah, it was literally like, okay, so I happen to have a gash on my forearm, and you're literally. It was like that's just the worst.
You got,
That's lazy.
you got,
Yeah.
you got blood on you. You got to run.
Oh, oh, get that off. I mean, like what? It was just that was kind of dumb.
Yeah, it was.
I I don't know enough about She-Hulk to know the origin, but from what you've told me, it sounds like it was different and it was maybe a
Yes, it
cooler origin.
was. It was.
All
It
right,
really
so
was. Yeah.
I think a lot of the origins have changed in the MCU though, and they haven't ruined it for me.
Well, some needed to change because the origins weren't that good and wouldn't relate to today's time. But with this one, I'll explain the origin later. But I don't see why they would change it. But go ahead. Sorry. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. I'm just going to my
Yeah.
negatives right now because I got actually probably more positives than anything. The CG people have major issues with. I still hold true that the first episode I didn't see a problem that I hadn't seen already in the MCU CG. Yeah, the shows at least the Disney ones. This second
Phase 4.
episode, yeah, yeah. Like the second episode, though, in the first opening scene, she's in the bar in that dark setting. I kind of was talking with Buck about this earlier. I think that didn't look great. And then the scene shortly after, she's in her office and it's bright and you could see her skin. And so I know the artists do a lot to make that skin pop. And they've been doing this. They've learned how to do really good, bit mapping and textures
Yeah.
and stuff. And I think they're trying to go with the smooth female. Like this Hulk's different. Her hair shines, when she's Hulk versus you kind of curly and a little frizzy when it's
Yeah.
She-Hulk.
Mhm.
Like, and even I don't know if you caught the little Easter egg or whatever. I don't know if it's an Easter egg, but just pay attention when she's calling him. The phone it says Fuzzball as the name for her because it's his
Mhm.
nickname. He picks on her a little bit. They had she just her skin is a female. They're trying to go with a nice skin, and it's smoother than that man's skin. And in the darkness, you just can't. It ends up looking like a filter, like when you use your phone pictures, and it's like, God, why do they
Yeah.
filter out their face? That's kind of what it
Yeah.
is.
That's good.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good example.
in the office, I saw texture, I saw hair, I saw everything that made it look good. So to me, I will criticize it where I think it deserves it, which was the dark scenes, the lighting, but then her movement. I can't get over weird things like the lips almost didn't sync all the time for me. Little strange. So I think that's just a matter of like they need to do better. Um, and then I'm gonna get into some stuff very gently here because these are careful waters you have to step in. I really thought this was gonna be a show that was gonna be heavy on feminism. It's She-Hulk. It almost is like a, hear me roar thing. I think that's why She-Hulk was created. And it's not like I have anything against that. I'm for equality. I have a daughter. 100% everyone here should be doing the same thing without any preference or, penalty. I thought it was going to be a little more like that. And while I've seen a few sprinkles of it, I think they're more playful. But there was one in the second episode that I was just like, that was completely unnecessary. Whereas the young guy that worked at her firm comes up to her and he's like, "You were just doing that for attention." And then he looks over the bar. It's like, "There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it."
Talk to it.
Right? It. And it's just like
Was
you're
that
trying to make.
necessary?
Yeah, like
That
we get it.
was.
He's a
No one
pig.
talks that way. Sorry.
Yeah.
No one does. No, especially in this day
No.
and
No.
age, he
No.
wouldn't dare say that without
Yeah.
repercussions. So that's where it's like you don't mess with me on that. Like, granted, I like the idea that they made him a jerk. It was like he was a nice guy and said that. So to counter that, they should show, okay, if there's a balance, there's as many good guys as bad guys, then show what the good guys are like in the show too. Don't just totally say this is one side of it. So as far as her being capable of doing all those things that he did a little better, like in the first episode, I chalk that up to her having already done yoga a million times. I've done yoga maybe once in my life. I don't know how many times Bruce Banner did it, but probably not a lot since he hangs out in the lab and stuff and does Avengers things. So she could naturally take care of yoga, like mop the floor with him on that. Throwing the stone, he did it better. He threw it further than she did. When they were kind of pushing around and whatever, he grabbed her and just walked her back to the jungle. I saw strength in him that I didn't see in her. She got a couple punches in, and I'm sure they hurt because that blood's strong. Um, I thought it was fine. I think it's funny as hell. Personally, I don't know why I'm really enjoying the
Yeah, I
humor.
like the humor actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it's too far. It's not Love and Thunder humor. That was really silly.
Yeah.
Um, let me think here. I can't help it. I was like, I like the show. I don't know what to say. I like it
Mhm.
better than Moon Knight so far, actually, and I really like Moon Knight. So it works for me. I want to see where it goes. I like that Abomination's back. It's kind of a neat way to nod that old character, and they've done that twice now. He was in
He
Shang-Chi,
was in
right?
Shang-Chi. Mhm.
And it looks like that's going to tie right back into it. It makes me think She-Hulk is a bit of a prequel to Shang-Chi, right? Because he breaks out to go get in a fight. Or you're
I
the
don't know
fan of
if it,
Shang-Chi, so
I don't know if it's a prequel to Shang-Chi or the video of him fighting is just a video that leaked online when that fight happened. Because
a little.
I don't know
Go ahead.
what the events of Shang-Chi happened in the MCU universe. I don't know if it was, after Eternals
It
or Eternals.
seems
Like,
the
I'm not
timing
sure. Yeah, because Captain at
timing
the
was
end of
weird
Shang-Chi,
for it to
we
leak.
see Captain Marvel, we see Bruce Banner. We actually see human form Bruce Banner, so never mind. This definitely happens before She-Hulk because he was still in human form. And he had like a
Yeah.
armband. The armor's still
Oh,
messed up. So this is
so he
definitely
had
before
that.
She-Hulk.
That confirms it. Abomination fighting in the ring has been going on for a while, and then he was imprisoned, and he broke out and apparently went straight back to fighting as his first trick.
I
That's
don't know
kind of
if
weird.
that I don't know if that's what happened. I just feel like the video of him fighting with Wong, which happened in Shang-Chi, which is the video that pops up at the end of She-Hulk. He's fighting
Is
Wong
it?
again.
Okay. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the magician's circle, whatever he's doing,
So you're
the
saying
shit or
that
whatever.
video
It
emerged?
just emerged.
I thought that was weird if it did, but okay, okay. So he escaped now, and I thought it was funny. She's like, "Well, that sucks."
She looked right in the
Her
camera like, "Well, that sucks."
That sucks. Yeah.
I think she's awesome. By the way,
Hmm.
Tatiana Maslany
Yeah, I don't have a
fits.
problem
She
with her at
does
all.
the
She's really
role.
good.
Nothing wrong with her.
Mhm.
I like that, and they did give a guy a good character. Her dad, I thought, at first it was like, oh, I'm kind of a bubbly little strange dad, and then he's like, Pumpkin, come on, let's talk, and she got advice from her dad. I was like, well, that's good. That's like, see, she has a good male role model in her life besides her cousin.
Did you ever
So
see the show Perfect Strangers when you were a little kid?
perfect strangers. I remember
Yeah.
Strangers with Candy.
No,
Perfect
Perfect
strangers.
Strangers. Yeah, it was a comedy, but yeah, her dad was actually on that show. I
Okay.
knew I recognized him from somewhere, and then I online it popped up. I'm like, oh, that's him. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, cool.
Never knew of.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
So we have some positives about the show, and I
I
think
liked it.
I
you
liked
guys,
Yeah.
it too.
yeah, yeah, you have some positive.
So,
You have some
Buck,
positives.
what are your thoughts?
That's all the time
All
we
right,
have
look,
tonight. So
look. You guys, I've had a positive outlook with the show with the trailers. I was looking forward to it. I knew it was a comedy. I knew the tone it was going for. Um, shit. I don't like it. I don't like it.
it's fine.
I
You don't
don't
have to like it. It's okay.
look.
It's
Look.
okay.
Here's my problem. It's not the tone that's bothering me. It's the fact that it's basically okay. Let's talk about the origin. Because to me, this was the worst origin story I have ever seen on screen. I'm sorry, on
Do
show
it.
or on movie.
Go
It
for it.
was.
What's the real origin?
It's just
Inform us.
look. All right. So in the comics, right? I have to look it up. But in the comics, the way she got uh Bruce's or Gamma Ray or whatever powers. Anyway, she was defending a client that she got off, and a mafia figure shot her, and she was in a coma. And Bruce had to make a snap decision to either do a blood transfusion or she was gonna die. And that's how, to me, I don't see why they would change up that story. It's perfect, and I feel it would connected Bruce and Jen, right?
Jennifer Walters. Yep.
Jennifer. It would connect it, and it would have brought more of a, I don't know, made that story make more sense to me, because the way they did it in the car accident, they were on vacation, then they were discussing Captain America's virginity, and then the ship comes, they crash, and Mark Ruffalo. Oh, by the way, Mark Ruffalo, he's looking rough, man. I don't know what happened between 2012 Avengers and now. He's looking old. I'm like, damn, Mark. Well, anyway. So they're in the car
I
crash.
noticed it too. He looks
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, it looks old. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. Yeah, so they're they're in the car accident. Car's turned over. Jennifer goes around, tries to pull him out, and all of a sudden, it's just I'm bleeding. I get blood on you.
You
I
know,
just I don't know. It just
Listen, I don't
actually,
that origin story that you said in the comic books with
yeah.
her getting shot. I think Disney just didn't want to do it because it's too dark. Simple.
No,
okay.
there's another reason why they don't want to do it, and I'm not going to say it. But anyway, yeah. So let's they go this route. They go this route. Okay. Okay. So it's fine. It's cheesy, sure. You find her in some bar. Some girls find her all messed up. They dress her up like a hooker for some reason. I don't know why, but okay. They push her out. She gets catcalled. Hulk saves her when she turns.
The cat call, that was dumb. I forget
Uh,
about that. Yeah,
okay,
where you
so
going, girl?
look, so we go to the whole training thing where he's trying to basically explain to her what it is to have this and how to cope with it and everything. I get it. Look, I get that she doesn't have a full blood transfusion and she's not as strong as him or anything like that, but I just think it spits in the face of everything that the character Bruce went through. Chased down by the government. He had to basically like cut off all his loved ones, anyone he have cared about, and she's just taking it so lightly, like, oh, I can do this. I'm fine. Look, I'm good. I just go back to my job. It's no big deal. And he's trying to explain to her, look, maybe that might be the case, but you don't know what this can do to you. And she's not even listening to what he's saying. It's like he's trying to teach you these things, trying to make her understand, like, what you have is very dangerous. It might not be exactly what I have, obviously, but it's dangerous. And you can't take it lightly. And it was frustrating me. So I'm like, this isn't, I mean, I get this as a comedy, but what this guy went through is not a comedy. Maybe this is what her character is going through, but she had to experience what he, at least a little bit of what he went through, at least in the beginning, and then have him train her to calm it down like he's done now and make her go off. It seemed just like she didn't learn anything. It was just there.
It just happened.
It just happened. It's
Yeah.
not a superpower that she has. This is like a curse almost. It's not something that was passed on to like,
I
yeah,
don't
this is
I don't know
yeah.
that though. Is that like I don't know She-Hulk enough to know is it the curse or is it truly like she could just change form?
No, she can. Obviously, she can. But the problem is, I just don't think it was as easy as they made it seem on the show.
I
Like it
don't
was
know.
just
Like
like
I'd need like a She-Hulk specialist here to tell me, "Oh yeah, she went through shit and she was off
no, no, no.
destroying
I,
things."
I don't, I don't, I don't think she went through the same thing as Bruce did. But what I'm trying to say is that in the show, Bruce is trying to explain to her
Mhm.
what it is, what she has, and how dangerous it can be. I mean, she really has a bomb inside her that if she doesn't know how to control it, at some point it can go bad. And
I
I just think they took the whole
well,
topic so lightly
one
that
of two things. All right,
yeah.
so maybe that happens. Maybe it's like, "See, I told you." Maybe a couple episodes later she's going to explode.
No, no,
But as of right now, it doesn't look like. It looks like
no.
she's in full control
Right.
and because she's different. But I
Yeah.
take that as she doesn't have the curse. It's not a curse. It's just she
Oh,
got enhanced superpowers.
obviously it's not a curse. That
That's
what
my
I'm trying to say is that
he was blowing smoke to me. It was like, well, you don't have the same. Yeah, they're going through something different because you had a very different experience than I got. She's like, you know what? I don't want to be this green person, but that's as bad as it is for her. Like she doesn't
yeah.
have the emotional split personality or you know It-
Yeah, I get that, but it just for her to have it so easily, it doesn't make me
Mhm.
connect to her character at all because it just feels like, oh, she has this. Oh well, I
Yeah.
just there was no sacrifice. There was nothing she went through
Uh,
to. Yeah, but
sometimes
look,
it's like
look,
that. I don't
it's
know.
a comedy, right? It's supposed to be like we talked last week. It's like an Ally and Bill type of comedy. But guess what, guys? Look, it's a comedy. It's not that funny. I'm sorry. I chuckled in the second episode when they were in the family talking about, I think her cousin was like, "Oh, I got a promotion at Best Buy." He's like, "Oh, great, a promotion, and you're still employed. That's great." I was like, "That's as
It,
close as a chuckle as I got." It's it's
it's
it's it's not that funny. I don't see where I'm like laughing here. It's not that
I,
funny.
I disagree
that
with you
part
on the
was funny.
comedy.
That
Yeah.
funny was okay, but
I like the comedy.
the show hasn't really got me where I'm like, or if this is gonna be a comedy, at least make me laugh, and it's not making me laugh.
How about this one? Ragnarok was funny, right? You're the one guy who doesn't think so. That's my point.
What? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no. Look, it
It's
had
your
its funny.
comment. It's what you like and don't like though, and I
It's
just
funny. Love and Thunder. No, sorry. Yeah, Love and Thunder made me laugh, and people didn't like that, but I laughed in Love and Thunder. I was ready for it, and I thought
because it
Love and
was
Thunder was hilarious.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. It was like true
Yeah,
slapstick.
yeah. To them,
I,
it's funny. It's funny how I felt about Ragnarok. People
yeah.
are feeling about this movie, and I'm just like, now that I was ready for Love and Thunder, now no one likes it. It's like, you know what? Fuck
I
you guys,
knew
man. I'm
we knew
just
that
like,
was gonna
I don't
happen.
know. I don't
Uh,
even know what like.
we guessed that. We
I'm, I'm,
guessed you're
I'm,
gonna
I'm
be the one that like.
trying. I'm trying to be the cool guy. Like, all right, yeah, that guy. I'll be a Taika Waititi fan, sure. Then I'm in it, and no one else likes it but me. Oh, the hell with you people.
It's
Yeah,
not
I
that.
don't know.
I like Love and Thunder. It was just not the same as Ragnarok. That was
Nowhere
Ragnarok was
near.
genius comedy in my opinion. And I don't
Okay.
think She-Hulk is genius, but it's different, and I like the perspective of it being from a woman because it's funny stuff I don't think about.
Hmm.
Like the best joke I saw in this last one was the little secretary man that came to her with her, here's your basket with nice
Yeah,
little things,
with the
and here's
bathroom
a card.
map.
This is the bathroom to go for pooping, and they were like, and I'm like, I don't
Yes.
even think about.
Well,
I've never in my life thought about the fact that women in the office place possibly go to another bathroom to take a shit. As that happens, that's pretty funny that I'm now aware of this.
Hmm.
So
yeah.
it's like it's female humor that I'm fun. I think it's funny. So
Look, and the show is aimed for female viewership. I get that, and I like Tatiana. I think she's great. I think it has a cuteness factor that it just goes great with the role. I thought she's fine, and I did like in the second episode that they showed that she got fired, and it made sense why she got fired.
she was a liability.
Yeah, I did like it, and it was cool. And now she got hired in this firm where she's representing
Superhuman.
superheroes. Okay, cool, and I can't wait to see who else she represents down the line. I mean, now she's doing Abomination, and that's great. Now, what I don't like again is going back to the Hulk, where in the second episode we see him on the ship, and he says, I think she says, when are you going to come back to where is she in Texas? No,
Now, L.A.
L.A. He goes, oh, it's going to be a minute because I was a business, and he goes off in the ship. So two things: either that's the way of basically getting Hulk out the way and not having to deal with him for a very long time, or they are setting him up for something bigger. I don't think they're gonna do anything right now. Soon, I think they're really pushing She-Hulk, so I don't think we're gonna see him again on the show. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's going back. Coming back, at least not this season. So that disappoints me because I wanted him to be kind of a mentor character for her. And again, it just shipping him off like he's useless. She doesn't need anybody. She just got this power, and it's like, it's fine. I don't know. Maybe I am overthinking this. I just,
I don't think she needs him anymore. You're right. It's like, you know
yeah,
what? He
it's,
learned. He's like, we've got two different situations going on here. I'll
yeah,
just talk to you like a cousin who loves you and kind of relates. I think that's what they turned it into, and I'm okay
yeah,
with that. Sorry to say it. It's like, yeah, she doesn't need him anymore because they didn't go through the same thing. He can teach her some tips on how to, Hulk out the right way, maybe, and wear
Yeah,
spandex,
their
for instance. But
experience as Hawks are very.
yeah, So I like the idea that he left because it's like I think we are going somewhere bigger, and I bet if anything, he'll have a cameo at the end, and maybe he's like in a situation we get a glimpse of that, and it's gonna be a big like, oh, what's about to happen? Where was he? What was that thing behind him? What was blowing up? You know, that's
If
what I'm hoping.
if that happens, that will save the show for. I would love that. That would be amazing, but
And
I don't
it's
think
more like,
so.
and then it'll say at the bottom of the credits, Hulk will return, or like
Whenever, who knows?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
someday.
Someday,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I love that. Hey, you know how much I love Ragnarok? So the fact that it was a Sicarian ship that caused the whole problem, right up, man. Let's do it. I want to see the next thing. Maybe we'll get Beta Ray Max or whatever that
Hopefully,
guy.
Better
hey,
Bill.
I'm down for it.
I
And look,
thought
I'm
I
gonna keep
thought of
watching
something.
this.
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought of something. He was okay. We said it earlier when the car accident happened. He's smart Hulk form, right? Because he can't change. He's always small Hulk.
No,
How the hell did he?
when the
How
car
did he
accident, he was
bleed?
still. In the car accident, he was still.
He was
Okay.
human.
Why?
Hmm.
How can he go from? I didn't know he
He
could do
had that.
that.
He had the machine, the thing that on his arm.
Yes, that's what it was. Okay,
It
thanks for reminding me of
malfunctioned.
that.
Which was explained like stupidly too. I'm not even sure how he even fixed it. He's like, oh yeah, I made this thing and now I can turn human. What?
But it's
It
just
Okay.
was a
weird if
plot
that's what you
device
want.
so that he could bleed
Yeah.
and
I was about to say, how did he bleed? And then I was like,
And
oh, I forgot about that.
apparently, was it her blood that actually cured his arm completely because he didn't
it
need
was
it
her
anymore?
DNA
Her DNA.
mixed
How
with the gamma
convenient.
radiation.
Look at that. Wow, that's great.
Hey, that
Okay.
was said in. All right, if you want to go back, I don't. It's not MCU, but in the first Hulk, it was his blood that he's experimented on since he was a kid, right? No, no, you're right. That has nothing to do with her DNA.
Yeah.
Nothing, and it's not even the same
Maybe they're
universe.
gonna end the show with the entire family becoming the sweet Hulk fan.
So here's what they just did. You must be. They must be mutants, right? Yeah, there's something in your DNA that lets you handle the gamma. So Hulk's a mutant now. I hope you're okay with that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't know, guys. You guys have to understand. I mean, this is
I do.
I love this character,
It
and
sucks for you, man. Yeah.
I know She-Hulk is a completely different character, but I mean, could they just
Throw the Hulk a bone.
Like, let's just say this. Isn't the idea of how She-Hulk came to be in the beginning, I don't know when she was created, the 60s, 70s,
yeah.
isn't it kind of a joke to begin with? I mean, it's like they had Hulk, you're really just gonna make the like a female version of everybody, Supergirl, She-Hulk. It's like I'm not saying there's something wrong with that because it's great, they're good characters, but to literally it's like let's just take the same thing but make her female. They had to change her a little bit. They or else it would have been like, what's the point of two of them? You know, she's a little different.
Yeah.
She has a feminine figure still.
Fine. That's fine. I don't care about that. It's a shame that the MCU really couldn't do much with the Hulk, but yet She-Hulk gets a whole show dedicated to her, and
Let's face it, it's a lengthened
it's
movie chopped up in 20
I
minute
know, and
intervals.
that and that okay, and I think well, this is I think something we all could agree with.
Yeah.
Disney Plus needs to stop these 30-minute, 20-minute episodes.
Yeah.
Why are they doing this? Is it that hard for them to come up with like a story to like? Because honestly, the first episode and the second could have been one episode together.
Lengthwise, yeah.
Yeah, like
I
well,
I I have like a very dark theory that I feel like Disney makes these 6 episode long shows that are 20 minutes, 30 minutes long just to get people to roll over their subscription.
That's absolutely what they're doing.
That's all it
Yeah.
is.
That's why they moved
it is
Andor
all
a
about
month
money,
later.
isn't it? With these guys, aren't
Yeah.
isn't it?
All
Of
about the
course
money.
it is. Yeah. They don't make this for fun.
But
They make
see,
this to get paid.
this is what gets me upset because if you look at the quality of shows with Obi-Wan,
Game of Thrones.
even and you go to HBO and you look, and let's not, we'll talk very little about House of Dragons because we're not going to review it, obviously. But just from that episode alone, you realize, like, wow,
The quality.
look at the difference in the quality of what we get with HBO Max and Disney Plus. It's almost comparing like to the CW.
Yeah, you're right. I was gonna say the same
It
thing.
is. It is. I'm just like, why? And look, Disney is. I mean, as far as the company goes, as far as movie company goes, it's the richest. It has to be, right? It has to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, look
Why?
at it like this. Like
It's
sorry,
quantity
I
over
interrupted you.
quality. It's quantity over
in CW, you almost give them more credit because it's like they make 24 episode
Yeah,
seasons,
An
and I think
hour
most of the
long.
episodes are like hour long with
They're
commercials, like
all an
40 minutes
hour
in.
long and they
yeah.
drag. Oh, they're
And,
so
you know,
boring.
I mean, true.
Hey,
Maybe Disney's saying that, but I think
yeah.
if you compare the visual effects for that, I know there's smaller visual effects houses that do those shows, and they have a lot more to do. So they are like pumping it out. So clearly, it's not as much money. They're not gonna have the effort, time, manpower, whatever, to make that look cinema quality. So I can almost give them a free pass for that. Now you're looking at Disney, as you just said. It should be cinema quality. It should be ILM. It should be absolute badass, especially for the length of it. It's not that long. It's basically a movie. You could have put all your actual movie assets into this show,
Yeah.
and you're splitting it up. That's all you're doing. So for what they're getting paid for this, because it's Disney subscribers, right? That's a lot of money. They're starting to learn that's as much, if not more, than the cinematic, or excuse me, the movie theater. Um, I almost give CW shows a leg up for the sake that they actually are doing what they can with what they have.
I do too.
Disney almost
Yep.
gets no excuse. Like you just said, Obi-Wan. Jesus, the best geek thing ever. And
Ever.
it's
Ruined
turned into like, let's dial it back down to fan fiction. That's what or fan quality movies,
movie.
Yeah.
Fan fiction would be better.
Fan films.
Because
Fan films.
because they knew because their characters were so known that people were gonna tune in. They just literally just cut back on the visuals, cut
Yeah.
back. I mean,
That
it was
quality.
the saddest thing because they
Remember,
knew they were gonna make money either way.
remember the freighter that the Star Destroyer is chasing? It's like a heavy bulk
Yeah.
freighter, like Corella, a little smaller than Corella. And it's just like meow, weaving and bobbing around like it's a fighter ship. It's like that's not how that goes. That thing's supposed to be slow and steady. That's why the Star Destroyer is getting it. Anyway, we're getting a little off
Yeah,
here.
yeah. But yeah, it's just disappointing because I mean Disney could do so much more with the shows they
Yeah.
have with Star Wars and MCU.
Yep.
They really could. And you're
Now,
talking about CW. It's funny because I had mentioned to you guys before. I've been watching Lois and Clark, and let me tell you something. The
oh,
quality in that show.
Superman and Lois.
I
Superman
mean,
and Lois.
I'm sorry.
You're
Superman
thinking of the
Lois.
'90s show with
Yes, I am. I am.
Dean Cain.
Damn it! I'm showing my age again. Shit. Yeah, but the quality of Superman and Lois is pretty damn good. You'd be shocked. Even the visuals. I mean, I'm not saying it's anything groundbreaking, but
Yeah.
it would make Disney be like, Disney needs to step this shit up because, yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
So here's something. We just last week talked about how MCU, you're doing great. Keep experimenting. Everything's good. MCU Disney Plus shows. I will say the visual effects aren't the best, but at least I could give it if I'm looking at Disney Plus, I think Marvel has way better stories than Star Wars does right
Oh,
now.
yeah,
Right now.
We haven't seen
I would
Andor.
give it so, sure.
Andor might be the saving grace. It might be the new Mandalorian.
Let's hope so. Let's
Let's
hope.
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now, like I don't want to smash it, pun intended.
Mhm.
But I liked She-Hulk. I mean, I guess we're not friends anymore, but I really did. But I get it too. If you were a huge Hulk fan, which you are, it's a lot like I don't want to go back to it again,
No,
but it's
don't
like
do it. Don't you do it.
look, let's
Don't you
just
do
say
it.
there's another franchise where the movies I looked twice like how could someone who actually cares about this material like this? I won't even say which movie I'm talking about. But it's like, there's I felt the same way. It's like you can't do that to Hulk. You can't do that to Hulk. To me, you can't do that to Skywalker. You can't do that to our heroes just for a new audience. So
Yeah.
I get it. I get where you're coming from. Is all I'm saying. I'm not going to go
Yeah.
back down that path.
No, I
And
get
it
what you're saying.
sucks.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it sucks for you, man. It sucks
yeah.
that you're disappointed with it. I wish you weren't. And it's like I can't change. It's how you feel. So
Yeah.
it's working for me. I'm not trying to be like tough shit. Hope you go suck an egg and enjoy your the boys or whatever it is you watch these days.
Boys is good.
But
Still have to watch.
I know that's cool. See, I got
Yeah,
something.
but it is frustrating when because look, I'm not knocking anyone who likes it. That's fine if you like it, but I feel like when I voice my opinion on it, or if I do a comment, let's say on Facebook, or other people that feel like me, they're literally being like thrown at like, oh, you're just being too picky. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy what you're getting. Like, well, but no, because
No,
it's I'm not a big She-Hulk fan. I'm not exactly. I'm not. I don't know everything about her, but I know who the Hulk is, and she is connected to the Hulk, and Hulk is a part of it. And yeah, it's not good. It just from what so far from what I've seen, it isn't good. Oh, I could be wrong. It could get a lot better, but so far the origin and everything it just hasn't done it for me.
Yeah, like
The visual effects I feel okay are okay actually.
Wow,
Literally,
really?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I get that. Yes, and I think Ren has a point. As far as the lighting, it's a big difference when she's in light and in dark. You can see the differences. That's fine, and I get that. But honestly, she's supposed to be this kind of just like the Hulk, this kind of unearthly monster. So it doesn't take me out ever, even if the special effects aren't as smooth as they should be. So that part doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, hey, what are we gonna do next week?
Well,
Thoughts?
next week I think we are going to. We'll be 2 episodes in House of Dragons. I think we'll probably do a Game of Thrones episode.
Of the Dragon, I think is what it's
House of,
called.
House of the Dragon,
I
yes,
believe.
House
Yeah.
of the
I call it
Dragon.
House of Dragons.
It takes a
I feel
while
like
for me to.
I feel like it should be House of Dragons, but no,
Yeah, well,
it
that's
is
what I
House
kept
of the
saying.
Dragon. Yeah,
I
House
think it
of
is House.
the
I'm like,
Dragon?
Yeah.
There's only one. There's
Yeah.
multiple dragons. They're
well,
all
the
dragons.
it's
No,
like
I
the
think
crest. It's like the
right.
family crest is the dragon.
Yeah.
Lannisters is the lion. It's not like
Yeah.
I'll look it up
Yeah.
right now, real quick.
You don't believe us?
No. Okay, yes. House of the Dragon. Okay. House
That's
of
it.
the
That's
Dragon.
what we're doing.
Yeah, so yeah, we're probably gonna do a House of Dragon episode for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
The following week, next week, I think we're gonna start watching the Lord of the Rings movies
Yep.
to get ready for the new Amazon show.
Two
That's
two
gonna be
podcasts
interesting.
scheduled ahead of time.
Well,
Yeah.
Look at
one
us.
more for the next 2 weeks. You
Yeah.
know.
I know. One day we're gonna have to get a video game podcast in here. We've yet to get one
Well,
in.
we've been trying. It's
Been
just
trying.
something. Yeah,
There's a lot of
comes
stuff.
along.
A
and,
lot of
you know,
entertainment going on. Not enough room for a video game. It's
Yeah,
not.
I think we will. We'll do it at some point. We'll do it at some point.
They just
But,
and just
yeah.
announced Gamescom too. A lot of cool stuff came out.
Okay, so see this is definitely your niche. So you should definitely set that up so we
Okay.
can do it with you.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we got two. Maybe the third one. Do a game. We got two
Okay.
scheduled already.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm for it.
I like
You
that.
know?
I like that. So next round, Game of Thrones. Then we're gonna do Lord of Rings retrospective with
Yep.
maybe a sneak our thoughts on Rings of Power,
No.
and
Oh,
then
do you want to do a suits for She-Hulk so far? For what you've seen,
oh,
you want to do that before we wrap
we
this up?
we didn't do suits on any of the other Marvel shows, but I'm okay with doing that. Let's see what we could come up with here. How suity does it feel? Feels pretty suity, I'd say.
Giving
I'd
it-
say
Giving it
a
5
minimum of
suits.
Yeah.
5
I'm giving it
minimum,
5.
but yeah,
Giving
at
it a
the
7 so far.
7.
Seven.
Wow.
Oh, look.
I
look.
don't know. I don't know the source
Seven,
material enough to
7.
give it a
Yeah.
7. For
From
all I
what I've
know,
seen so far, when I've looked up source material, as far as her origin, definitely a 7.
see, that's what I say. You looked it
Definitely
up.
7.
You looked it up. I think we need to go back and all of us go find the originals and see. Well, let's see what actually happened, and then we can probably be a better judge of what it's supposed to be. Just saying.
I would be down with it if the origin story didn't come back in today's time where it's like it wouldn't make sense, but it would make sense. It's fine. So I don't know why they change it up.
Kingpin's part of the mafia. You know, why couldn't they could have used that? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, especially since Daredevil's going to be in this season too.
Yeah, I know.
But
At least it
whatever.
could have been his gang. So
I think
Yeah.
the reason why I give it 5 suits isn't necessarily because of She-Hulk's story. It's more along the lines of Disney ruining narratives to compensate for a smaller audience.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
That's a great way of putting it.
it's a
that's-
target audience. Yeah, well done. Yeah.
that's my
They're
only
really
reason I'm giving
pushing.
it 5 suits.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, Miss Marvel had a target audience. I Am Groot has a target audience. Loki kind of has a target audience. I think they at least do a good job of giving something for everybody.
Yes, but I feel like the show is specifically pointing it out, like
Yeah, to Ally
in your
McBeal fans.
face,
Yeah,
you know.
if you like Ally McBeal, you'll like
yeah.
She-Hulk. We're gonna do the exact same fourth wall breaking thing. Hell, it makes you wonder if Ally McBeal copied She-Hulk because she broke the fourth wall all day long, and she was an attorney.
So did Deadpool. So
Cute courtroom. The Deadpool. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
All
all right.
right.
So that's our show, guys. Tune in next week. We will talk about House of Dragons. That's it. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good one.